the thing is, it would cost me more in traveling up here than what the membership actually costs.
Yeah, there is that's the tax for living outside of London.
Yeah, we'll
Good.
see. Maybe in the long run.
There we go. That's part of the goals to go towards. Soho House will be your office in the future. So you've got Rich. Hello. Thank you for coming and joining us today.
Hi, Super Team UK. How you doing?
I'm doing all good. There you go. We'll give it a few minutes as everyone starts arriving in. But I do
Cool.
appreciate you being able to come and join us today.
Nice one. Nice to put a face to the name. I've seen your face, and we've exchanged emails.
Yes. No. I
But
think it's
haven't done that.
Well, where are you at the moment in the world? Are you in London?
So I'm in Hitchin, which is in North Hertfordshire. So
Okay.
in between Luton and Stevenage, to put a less glamorous kind of tint to it. But I'm in London a couple of times a month.
There we go. So what's your closest city? Oh, my UK geography is terrible. Is it
London.
is it Birmingham then, or is it still London?
No. I'm about half an hour from London.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I see you've got everyone jumping in as well. Holly, Chris, hello. Luke, Diana. How you guys doing?
Yeah, fine. Hello, mate. Is it
Doing good.
Oh, good, thank you. How is everybody else doing?
All right, thank you for asking.
That's all right.
Hello. I used to live in Letchworth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For a long time ago now. From St Albans originally.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, you're not allowed to have a Zoom call here.
Oh, okay. I was
Thank
just.
you.
Oh, George.
Oh yeah. No, that is actually very true.
I'm just gonna mute myself for minimize. I'm still listening.
Yeah, you should probably go on your phone. I think Soho House do have that rule, don't they? Where you can't be on you can't have like a live call at Soho House.
Only if it's somewhere exclusive. Very high end.
Yeah. So I think Arslan is out of the country and probably unable to make it.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe.
He's off traveling. He's in, I think, Malaysia at the moment.
He is in Malaysia. Yeah, he's meeting with the Malaysian government as well as his co-founder, which is awesome. I love that you can just set up a business without having met your co-founder.
Well,
That's rad.
It's the power of like little moments like this where like we're all online. You know, we all come from different places to get onto the call. You can build a lot of trust, and you can build a lot of cool things together.
Sure. Let me know when to jump in.
Yes.
And
Yeah. No, I think we should be good to get going in a second. I see Ashton's jumping as well. And yeah, no, I'm excited to go for this. Do you have you ready to like share your screen and everything?
Sure.
Well?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm allowed to.
Yeah, we can jump into the workshop.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it. So, really appreciate the opportunity to connect with all of the founders here and to share my experience in AI. I've been in kind of frontier AI for the last 2.5 years. I'll drop into a bit more of my background when I walk through slides. It's been great. Also, I've reached out to I hope most of the founders that I've been able to find contact details for or on LinkedIn, and I've also had a chance to speak to a few of you, Holly, Chris, Arslan and George. So I know about your businesses, and we've had conversations about what you're dealing with. And this is going to become relevant when I actually drop into the let's talk about AI bit of the presentation and workshop. In part because I usually think about things, and I think it's useful to think about things not from a, hey, let's get some AI, but from a, what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and what is the bottleneck in your business right now or in your life, and can AI help with that or not? So before I do jump in, I was wondering if the two others who I've seen on the call could just give yourselves an intro to me, so I know. Ashwini and Luke, I believe it is. Ashwini, you go first.
Hi, Rich. So I am actually building a brand that is fighting against cultural appropriation, and it's going to be a high-end brand of untold cultural stories into like collectible fashion. And I am using Scarf as my canvas, where I would also collaborate with different artists belonging to the same culture so they have a platform to represent themselves. And then I would integrate blockchain into it so that people know where the scarves come from, where the stories come from, and what is the story of the artist as well.
Gotcha. Wow, that's super cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will, yeah, thanks for the context. And Luke.
Hi,
I'll
Rich.
jump.
I'm building a Solana launchpad for musicians where they can tokenize themselves on chain with an artist token that fans can invest in, and they can also upload music and stream it on our platform. And this talk's interesting because we've been having some discussions on how to format the site to allow agentic musicians, AI musicians, to possibly join in an easier way. Curious, like the best practice on how to do that to allow, fully agentic artists to join and upload. Kind of let that possibly be a future scale with us to not just allow human artists, but AI artists to join. So thank you for the talk.
Cool, not at all. Jacob, you have just joined as well. I know a bit about what you do, and I'm really interested in it because I'm a father of two, a boy who's 7.5, and I want to tell him about you because I think you're really inspirational, and daughter who's a bit younger, 5.5. But yeah, jump in and just tell me a bit more about it because I'm all up for reducing kids' screen time.
Yeah, so so basically what I'm creating is a gel shooting drone. So it's in the progress of making it so far, but a lot of children have always on their screens or somewhere, and they get bored of toys really easily. But a lot of things that children really enjoy from research is they like action combat like games. I'm trying to bring, like, if you've ever seen Fortnite or something like that, it's all shooting games, but children want to do that in real life. So I decided a combat toy would be amazing. It's a gel shooting drone.
So cool. Now let me share screen and actually jump into it, because one thing that is quite apparent to me is that, let me know what you see. There we go. Everybody in here has probably used AI in some capacity, but there is quite a spectrum in level of I guess daily usage and sophistication and so on. So I'm going to talk about how I use AI, what I do for the most part in my kind of day-to-day job, and that's an AI business, and then the kind of internal nuts and bolts of like to do my function. And my function is as a go-to-market person. So how do I scale the business? How do I do marketing? How do I do sales? And so on. So I'll talk about some of the tools that I use. I'm also going to show you a kind of way of working, and then also I'm keen to speak to each of you individually, not necessarily on this call because time is short, but I'm keen and happy to help each of you wherever possible, not just with AI, but my background is as a growth strategist, growth person, And why is this not working? There we go. In early stage tech companies. And I've been doing this for the last 10 plus years. Like I said, been in front of AI for the last couple of years. So what I hope that you get from the next, let's call it 20 minutes, is at least one thing. If you see something that's new and you think, that's freaking cool, that I will have done my job. I'll be happy with that. And it could be an approach, or it could be a tool, or a specific tactic. But if there's one thing, then that's great. So hopefully this works. I'm going to show you the product that we are building. This is what I'm doing my day-to-day. It is an interactive AI avatar platform, so that you have your language models, you know, the LLMs, ChatGPT, and so on, all the others that are out there. Voice AI tech that sits on top, such as 11 Labs, some of you might have heard of, DeepGram. There's a whole bunch out there. We integrate with loads of those. And then what we do, one of the companies that I'm helping to build, is provide a face to AI, so that you can actually feel like you're talking to a thing, not necessarily just a computer. So this is a demo. The audio is a bit pants, but let's see how it comes across. Tell me if you can't hear the audio on this. And this is Einstein talking to Isaac Newton.
I don't think we can quite hear it.
I was just about to say I can't hear anything.
There's zero.
No voice.
No, we had a little bit of wind. Then it went quiet.
Boo. Maybe
Do you wanna-
settings.
Did you have the link? Maybe you could drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll share the slides as well after for people to look at. The one of me is quite good, so I created a clone of me and got it to talk like the android out of Blade Runner. So I will drop that in the chat now. And it's just so whimsical and it's great. Come on.
Well, like the detail there as well. I think that's one of the big things with these types of models and pieces of content, is that like that it looks quite so real. It can get so realistic in how it looks.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't the core of what we're going to talk about, and because what matters and why. I mean, this is interesting, but what ultimately matters is what are you guys doing in your business, and how can AI or my thinking help with that? But just to touch on this, it is fascinating, and the evolution has gone from. I mean, this has been in the last 12 months. Like last year, calendar year, these were like pretty clunky sort of CGI thingies, and since roll forwards early this year, we've come into a new world where you can take a screen grab. So that Einstein, that was created with ChatGPT. The image was, and then we took the image, uploaded it into our platform, and got it to kind of overlay and synchronize with different AI tools. What you're seeing here is it's a video of me, but I have never said the things that this says, and it says it completely fluently with lip sync. You can clone voices remarkably quickly and easily and well. You can do voice clones with about 10 seconds of footage or 10 seconds of audio, and it's a near likeness. And then you can do a kind of professional grade with about half an hour of footage. And the more you do, the kind of more precise with the kind of similar intonations you can get. But it is nuts, like being on this forefront. And where we are seeing loads of take up is in training and development, learning and development, to coaches, experts, consultants, people like Simon. I know that Simon brought out an AI Simon over summer, and that was just the voice of him. And that's using 11 Labs as the voice, but that's a particularly expensive service. It's awesome. And one of the things that we've been exploring together is what about putting a face to the app as well. Tony Robbins has done something similar again not that long ago, just over summer. Brought out don't know if he's the biggest person in personal development globally, like and sort of self-help. Anyway, it's a very interesting space to be in, and this is the platform. It's called Trilliance, that is at the front of building these interactive avatars, and it's free to use. There's a free tier. You can just log in and play around and like take one of these off-the-shelf avatars and get going and get building. So I spend my day playing with different language models and like working on sort of the front end bit of the product and building out interactive avatars for our clients. And that's playing with different voice AI. My dev team does all of the like difficult lip syncing stuff. But then I spend a lot of time on prompt engineering. So thinking up and refining prompts to get the avatar to behave in a certain way, such as open up with a long monologue and then I'll go into a conversational style, or if it's a sales training, for example, sales training avatar, so kind of sit and grill the person who is there practicing and rehearsing their sales pitch. So lots of use cases. I spend all day, every day inside AI and doing this kind of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to touch briefly on the non-product stuff and the AI. It's more automations stuff that I spend time doing, and this is for me to run what I do. To generate business this is a B2B context. So where this might be relevant for some of you guys, because I know mostly you guys focus on B2C, but where you are looking for partners, where you are looking for investors, so businesses that you want to reach out to, some at scale, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. These tools are really, really useful. So I'm going to show you them on the screen. Apollo is a database. It's a database that did used to sit on top of LinkedIn, but I won't go into the details of that. It has hundreds of millions of contacts. You can find people on LinkedIn as well. There's a way of doing that. I'm not going to walk through the LinkedIn process now, but I'll just kind of touch on the Apollo process. Very similar. So you can filter by however you want, as you can on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, what job titles people have, whether they have verified emails that you'd be able to get and scrape and reach out to, where in the world these people are. Obviously select multiple. You can see up here, that's the total number of results that are returned on the list. Then what size is the company and so on, what's the industry. So you can, let's say, for example, you're trying to find investors, you could select for VC, venture capital, or private equity, and you'd get a list of these people. Then a tool that I use is to take from Apollo and use a scraping tool. It's called Export Apollo. It basically makes the process a lot cheaper to actually get these contacts so that you can then do your own outreach to them, rather than necessarily needing to run that through the Apollo platform. So create a list name, put in the link from Apollo, and hit go. And just to show you a bit of my history, so I've done this with thousands and tens of thousands for various companies and for various campaigns. And then out pops a CSV with all of those contacts, and it's a rich database, if you will, of names, companies, locations, emails, LinkedIn profile URLs, ways in which you can contact people that are relevant to what you're doing. Then you can either just work inside your own email or use, and what I do is this is a cold email platform. There are a couple out there that are the big ones in the world, SmartLead and Instantly. So you can send emails at scale, but there's kind of more detail to this, but I'm just showing you the high level of my processes, what I do, the way that I work. So that's cold email. And any thoughts or questions on this before I jump into the next piece?
I've just been dropping all the links in the chat for anybody who
Cool.
wants to look at it as well. Yeah, if there's any questions.
To get really good at learning how to use all of these, how long does it normally take to learn all the basics of it?
Yeah, great question. Apollo takes about 5 minutes to learn how to filter. It's really straightforward. Export Apollo, again, it's about 5 minutes to kind of get the lists. Doing cold outreach at scale, that is more involved. I would say, I mean, you can get other people to do it, but and I do get other people to do it for me. I have also done it myself, but there's an involved process in getting domains. But you could probably learn it in about a day to get it to be effective for these pieces. But I would say if you're doing something that is not mass volume B2B, let's say you have, well, give me an example, Jacob, because how do you see this as being relevant for you?
So for like cold email and everything, if like automation is a big one that I need. So I'm not sure if this one's really good for automation. So anytime someone signs up to my website, it gives me like a notification, and then it automatically sends them an email.
And do you have that set up already? Or that's what you want to set?
I haven't got it set up already, but I would want it to get set up.
Okay, yeah, that's straightforward. You don't need this stuff to do that. I'll talk to you separately about how to create an automated email responder from people who sign up to your website. Well, just to touch on it, what website builder do you use?
At the minute, I'm using Wix, which I've started up, but that's what I'm trying at the minute.
Chris is grinning. Yeah, another Wix aficionado. That's cool. And which email capture do you use?
What do you mean?
So the form that you have on your website for people to enter their details and sign up.
Which form I use?
Is it a widget that's built into Wix?
I'm not exactly sure because I've just started up, so I'm not 100% sure on what everything does yet.
Okay, no worries. Let me take a look. And yeah, Cap's just shared a link to that as well, to the Wix form creator. Let me have a look. If it's not already built in, the capability to send an automated response when somebody signs up, I'd be surprised if it wasn't. If not, then we could use a simple platform, a simple automation platform such as make.com, which it sounds like you've heard of it. It's a way of stitching together different tools to automate stuff. Might be a bit of overkill for me to drop into that right now, but happy to talk to anyone about that separately.
So apps that are in there that work pretty good for what Jacob's trying to achieve, but some of them are a bit lumpy if you try and do anything extra with them. But generally they kind of work, but at a very basic rate.
Okay.
Then you can use custom code blocks where you can put in HTML that Chris and I have had a chat about with some of his map functionality, which I'll touch on.
Rich has been very helpful. Yeah, I got a bit lost with some of the elements on my website. In fact, it's stuck. So I almost tore it up. That was it.
I'm going to touch on this as well because it's an interesting question. It raises an interesting question about, you know, with whatever it is that you're doing. I'll kind of come on to it when I sort of talk about ways of working, and principles. But with whatever it is that you're doing, the question that I always try to bring to the table and ask myself in a situation is like, what is the thinnest slice? What actually matters in this situation? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, what is the core of the business? And for Chris, I mean, you're getting stuck in the maps. I was like, what matters, not necessarily right now how pretty it is and whatever, but is, can you create a tool that lets men discover walks near them? Like, that's the core of what you're doing. So with whatever it is that you're up to, man, God, do I know about going down rabbit holes and getting, you know, attracted by the new shiny AI objects. It's part of the battle is like cutting the crap out of the way and being like, what's the thing right now that I need to be focused on, and get someone else to do the rest. So I'm happy to help with some of the rest. So on the list building piece, it is not a complex thing. And this is, so a couple of examples of people that I've helped, and it's been a lightweight lift for me to build, like from end to end. So for the one on the top left, I built a list. He sent me, it was a bit of refinement. He's like, I think I'm going for these types of people in this 100 companies globally. I was like, all right, okay. Took to Apollo, scraped the list, cleansed it, and then there's a step after to go and like clean the data, because you want to make sure that if you are going to be sending emails at scale, that you're sending to verified emails. And that there are a couple of tools I can share. One is called actually, Cap, if you could find this, it's called Million Verifier, and you pay, it's like 30 quid for 10,000 emails, and that's to verify it. Essentially what that does is, before sending emails, it'll send a signal to just check if something comes back to say, is that email actually valid and verified? Does it still exist, and is that person there? Because if you go sending out a bunch of cold emails and they bounce, there's no person there, whatever, then what that signals to the email service providers, Google or Outlook, Microsoft, whichever platform you use, it will flag to those email service providers as this person is emailing people who and hasn't actually checked that these people exist. So it can flag you as spam. What that can do is kill your domain authority. So when I'm doing cold emails at scale, I never do it from my personal email, and I never do it from my core company email. I always set up like burner domains, if you will. It's the practice. It is how people do cold emails at scale. If you've got a target hit list of maybe 100 partners, then sure, get their data this way, get their contact details this way, but then think like about the outreach as being way more high value. So you wouldn't want to be doing stuff at scale automated. You'd be doing personalized, sending 5-10 emails a day at most, and you don't then need to set up burner domains and that kind of thing. So anyway, a note on that. But yeah, it's kind of fairly straightforward to do, and it sort of appears like magic to people who don't know how to do this. Like this guy, wow, how did you get these? Used Apollo and exported Apollo. Another tool, another approach that I do, and again, you can do this if you're reaching out to VCs, you can, or partners, whatever, you can, and I do this for new business. This works really well for B2B, and that is LinkedIn outreach. You can do it in combination with sending emails as well. That kind of increases the effectiveness of both. And there are tools out there to automate this. By far and away, the cheapest one that I have seen and use and have used for years is one called Linked Helper. That is sure. A caveat, an important caveat. Using automation tools on LinkedIn does contravene LinkedIn's terms and conditions. It's not illegal, but it's against what LinkedIn want you to do. The reason why is because historically people have used automation tools to spam the crap out of contacts and LinkedIn. So now what happens, and what has happened over time, is with any LinkedIn account, aside, I mean, automations kind of as an aside, you are now limited in the number of connection requests that you are allowed to make on a weekly basis, and that is limited to, it's roughly 100. It kind of has, and that has gone down from thousands down to, you know, multiple hundreds to 100. You can do it manually, by all means. If you've got a target hit list of, I don't know, 50 core partners that you want to go after, you can send really tailored messages. For one of my use cases, I have wanted to, and I have clearly defined with the interactive avatars, a key product differentiator between us and a competitor, all other competitors actually, is that we scale affordably because of how we've rendered the architecture. And we've had customers come to us from competitors because the competitors were too expensive at scale. And so what I have done, wanted to do, is say, right, there's a clear positioning that we have against a competitor, and that is we scale affordably. I want to connect with every single customer of my competitors and open a conversation to see if this is something that they're bumping up against. There are tens of thousands of these people. From my LinkedIn account, I can send 20 messages a day, 20 connection requests a day, and that's what I have done. You can do it across multiple LinkedIn profiles. I'm currently just doing it for mine, although I run this for other people as well. And this is some data on that. This is going back from last year, about a year ago. So you can see over 1,600 connection requests sent. I didn't send those. The robots did it. And it's generated about 500 new contacts that are super targeted. And again, you need to think about this with a marketer's hat on. That's, you know, if you're reaching out to connect with someone, you can either do it in a totally sort of blank way and just, you know, don't send a note when you reach out and connect. That can be as effective if your profile and who you are is relevant to them. And or you can either send in a connection request a very specific note that says, hey, I see that you're, you know, like following this company. We do these things as well, but wondering if this is a problem that you've come up against. It's cutting straight to the chase. And there are two different approaches, like a little bit slower, kind of slowly catchy monkey kind of vibe, or just going straight for it. This has generated thousands and thousands of dollars for us, and it continues to work. So it's not that one particular channel is dead per se, but how you work with a channel really matters. And so, yeah, I use LinkedIn and cold email at scale, and these are the tools that I use to do that. So this has been about automation so far, automation to help grow an AI avatar business. I'm going to pause for a moment and just open up to you guys before I jump into like some of the nuts and bolts of like how I use AI, and then I'm going to also invite people to share with me and share with everyone else your use cases of how you use AI, so that we can pool knowledge and pool experience. So thoughts, feelings, questions, concerns? Shoot.
My mind's gone like, what is all this? It sounds fantastic.
It feels like one of the core things there in the beginning part was about this go-to-market approach, and like you've built a product, and now you want to be able to like show people your product. What's an easy way to find a bunch of people who may be interested in your product? And we've got a few different features like Apollo that we can use to get, like I was mentioned in one of the previous sponsorship workshops as well, when it was talking about, okay, how do you like find new people? He went through from HelpBnk like all the different kind of sponsors that they would be looking for on Simon's channels, and then like did a couple of live examples, and through that then found on LinkedIn who it was, then in the job, and then searched for specific roles within that. And so this is like we're seeing it a lot more common as well, and it's like it's working as like I've built something like what's a raw way to like get more people utilizing it as a way to like get those first words out before like the network effects and the word of mouth start spreading it further. These kind of approach strategies are so super powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is the mechanics of it. It's the nuts and bolts of finding individuals and companies with specific roles in certain locations that you think have the problem that your product can solve, or that your service can solve, or that might be able to help you, or you help them. Like this is the nuts and bolts of it. But to kind of reiterate, it is super, like the infrastructure and the technology is sort of the delivery mechanism of the message. So, but unless the message is on point and relevant, it doesn't make any difference. Like it's all for nothing. So I will jump back in and just talk about how I use AI. And then I've already asked a couple of you to share how you use AI, which I'm going to get to at the end of the call, because I think that's a super interesting thing to harness the hive mind and collective learnings, collective experience. So also be thinking at the back of your minds how you use AI and things that you could share that could be cool. So principles and ways of working. This is what I do, and I'd be curious to know what you do. Always, like I said, always start with the process or problem rather than with the tool, unless it's like weird late at night and you're just going down a rabbit hole of testing out new tools and be like, wow, look at that, I can create a fluffy bunny that talks to me. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So, you know, leave the playing with new tools to like outside of core doing the do. Think about what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and then bring AI to the conversation. For me, like I'm not AI native. I'm 44 years old. It is still a bit of it's a training for me to go, I don't just need to figure everything out myself. I can bring AI to the conversation. It's a process for me to do that as a reflex. And always bring and use more than one language model. So these are, I would argue, for me, they are the four horsemen of the AI apocalypse that I get. They're my go-to: ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude by Anthropic, a new darling, this one, which is an agentic LLM. It's called GenSpark. It actually scans across about 160 language models and then calls upon the ones that it has identified as most relevant, and then it can go and actually do stuff. And then Google Gemini. Like each of these are becoming more agentic, so plugging into Gmail and whatever other things and being able to do stuff. So this is just principles and ways of working. I'm going to talk through two examples. One is but they're both slightly trite, but there's also a kind of a caveat with all of this, and that is we don't always know what AI is going to be good at, and the only way to know is to kind of have a go and test it. And I will share a couple of examples of that, and where sometimes it's just useful to think and be human in partnership with AI. So GenSpark, this guy, I first came across it a few months ago. It's newish. They've gone absolutely ballistic in terms of revenue. My wife tasked me with fixing our front door, and I thought, I don't want to do that. I want someone else to do that. So I went to GenSpark and I said, took a photo of my front door, and it's an old door and it's got lead-lined windows and the glass is coming away. So I took a photo of it and I said, this is where I live. Here's a photo of my front door. The window's a bit buggered. Can you find some people to fix this? And it went away and did the research, and it came back with about 10 different niche glaziers in my local area, and drafted emails to each of them. And then it said, do you want to send these emails? So I just went and pressed send from within GenSpark. I had hooked it up to my Gmail because my InfoSec, I don't really care about. My information security, maybe I should, but I kind of trust these brands. So I hooked up my Google Suite to GenSpark so it could come in and actually draft emails and then send from GenSpark through my Gmail account. So it came from me. And then half an hour later, had a few conversations with a couple of different glaziers, and job done. What these things can do. And my wife was very happy, and so I'm very happy. So anyway, that's a trite example of using AI to help you. And if you can get boring, mundane stuff off your plate in your personal life, then it frees up headspace in what you're doing in other bits of your life, in your work. So here's an example of where AI doesn't necessarily always work, but it can do. It can do bits. So I took to each of these and said, I did a bit of thinking. Simon Swibb's HelpBnk Accelerator AI Mentorship. So I bashed out a few thoughts myself. I was like, what are we going to talk about today? This is what I think is going to be useful. And then I went to GenSpark, went to Claude, ChatGPT and Gemini, and said, can you build this for me? And I fed it my notes and said, based on this, I want you to create a slide deck. Now, so this was from AI, from ChatGPT, which it was pure ChatGPT, so I didn't take it any further. Pretty bleak, just the text, just created slides. This was Google Gemini, and then I took the output and fed that into Gamma, which is a PowerPoint slide deck creation. It's quite funky. You can iterate it a lot. It's quite cool. It was a bit overkill for me. I didn't want this much text, but you can say as much and you can strip it back. What I ultimately did was ultimately started from scratch. So this was Claude, and it came up with something nice. It came up with, I quite liked this. I thought, so I had a skim through and I was like, yeah, I quite like this. It's got an implementation roadmap. That's quite cool. If you're starting from scratch with your kind of AI journey, then maybe we could talk about this, setting up tools and doing this. Anyway, point being, AI it's not a panacea. It doesn't work for everything in all situations, and you can see that there are very different outputs from the different language models, and depending on how you kind of stitch them together, you get different outputs. So that's why I say use more than one language model. And oh, one sec. Oh, that should be on your bed or in the bathroom. Excuse me. So, other ways of working, and this is one thing, well, a couple of these pieces I encourage you to do right now if they speak to you. And the one is go to Whisperflow, Whisper, spelt like if you were a tech startup, you would spell Whisper, Whisperflow.ai. I came across this a couple of months ago, and let me just get to it. This guy. It's a dictation app, but it dictates and it also edits what you're saying, so it kind of formats what you're saying. Excuse me. Are we going up or down?
Down.
I quite
Here
like
it is.
Super Whisper as another option there as well.
What is that, Kat?
The same as what you're talking about here, the Whisper Flow.
Super Whisper.
It doesn't format amazingly, but it does like get perfectly the words that have been said.
So how it kind of appears is you can either you can do it a bunch of different ways, but I've downloaded it onto my laptop. Download, and then whenever I go to create something, instead of typing, I mean, I love typing. I kind of love the feel and process, but also it can be way faster to speed. So I'm just going to show you it in action for those of you who don't know it. So, hey guys, this is me demoing Whisperflow. Let's see if it's any good and if it can actually configure and give a decent output of what I'm saying quite neatly and quite accurately. Sure. Bosh. So it's pretty good. And it can save a chunk of time when you just want to bash out loads of stuff. So I encourage you to get it now. It's free. I haven't paid for it at all, and there are limits on it, but I've never bumped up against them. And it just speeds up the way of working. This is quite a cool meta prompt. It's a meta instruction that I came across. I would love to give these guys credit. I can't remember who they are, but I came across them about a year ago. And I'm going to show you where this exists and what it does. So Professor Synapse, it's essentially a custom instruction that you can put into the settings in ChatGPT. And what this does is when you go and prompt ChatGPT, Professor Synapse, based on the custom instruction, will come back to you and ask you questions about your prompt to get you to refine it and to provide AI with more context so that it can generate a better output. Now, I think that's pretty funky. Let's see if I can access it. So in ChatGPT, go to settings, personalization, and I will share these in share in the chat. So custom instructions: act as Professor Synapse, a conductor of expert agents. Your job is to support the user in accomplishing their goals by aligning their goals and preference with their goals and preference, and calling upon an expert agent perfectly suited to the task by initializing Synapse core, blah, 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 and it'll show a little wizard. I will reason step by step to determine the best course of action, on and on and on. So it's it's getting you to provide an accurate prompt, and then it is calling up an agent to get a better output. I'll also put it in the slides, but you know, I find with these things, unless you do it here and now, it doesn't happen. On that as well, I'm going to jump into this after I've shared this custom instructions for Professor signups. Signups. Come on. Nope.
I hope it takes
Doesn't
a little
work.
bit. Sometimes they have limits in chat of like how many characters you can have.
Inside Zoom.
I know Google Meets has it.
I'll try one more time, and then if it doesn't work, fine, I'll just chuck it into my slide deck so that you can get it down here.
If you share the Google file, then you can put it in the comments.
Yeah, good shout. Come on. Cool.
Can I ask a question?
Shoot.
So just going to the link that Kat's put in the chat. So I'm just trying to minimize the screen again so I can see it. It's taken me to ChatGPT, and it says Professor sign up. So the thing that you copied, where do I put that? Do I put that in where it says? Sorry, I'm just a little bit.
That's fine. Let me take a screenshot as well so you can see. So in ChatGPT,
the link that Kat
to
sent, it literally sends you straight to Professor sign up. So do I need to add what you've written into it still?
I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that was
just
a link to the model itself. This would be the prompt that model is trained on, and so you can add it also to your own like default GPT. So then that's what Rich was showing in the settings of GPT itself.
Okay, because I think I'm probably still logged. Okay, so I need to. I think because I'm still logged into it, so
yeah, it's on your usual account.
Yeah, I'll just put it in where you're saying that as well. Okay, see if I can.
Under personalization and custom instructions.
Well, I say do it now, otherwise I'll be like, oh, what's that? Right, so and personalization. Oh gosh.
Yeah. And in personalization under custom instructions.
I'm trying to look for where personalization is. Let me just make it bigger and see. Okay. Am I being really blind? Because on my chat, I've gone to ChatGPT from the link that Cap sent, and I can see that it's logged into me, and it's got all my other chats that I've had, but I can't see anywhere where it would say.
So by your name, the profile bit in the bottom left.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Thank you. I'm literally okay, and then custom instructions and paste in there.
Personalization, custom instructions, paste that, and then before you hit save, I mean you can hit save, that's fine. But before you do, I think that should save automatically. In the more about you, I have fed it some specifics, and this is again pulled from the Professor Signups creators, really to try to get ChatGPT to stop outputting AI speak, such as delve into the realm of whatever. Like, just let's talk more human, please. Bear in mind, this is from about a year ago. The models have got better and less AI-ish in their output language. But so this is in, putting it here, more value.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
so
don't know where I'm looking. I'm still learning everything with this.
That's all good. Like, it's a process, right? For going from learning, like I said, people are on a different stage in the journey of like using AI. Just do a little bit with it learn a piece each day that you're like, oh, I didn't know that. The next piece, and then I'm going to cut into over to you guys and ask for how you guys use AI, is sorry, two things. One, whenever I come across stuff, and I have not been fastidious about this, I mean, to a certain extent, I've been slightly hesitant in sharing, like, here's my awesome prompt, it can get you to do this, and because it's just like this, the internet is, you know, it's not short of prompts, right? It's kind of useful to a certain extent where you see one and you take it and you use it and you get a result and you're like, huh, that works, I'm going to use that again because that was really neat. When I do that, and I would suggest this as again a sort of meta, an approach, just create a repository of prompts and tools that either you've seen that you think, oh, I might like to try that at some point, or that you have used and they're great. And I do that just in a Google Sheet. Wrong one. That's you guys. AI uses and prompt engineering. So this is, you know, not the only place that I have stored this stuff. I have a Notion with lots of different Notion boards with other people's prompts that I very rarely look at, but here are tools that I've come across that I use and like, oh, maybe this is going to be cool for XYZ, whether it's for doing some segmentation, doing some customer research, whatever it is. There's a bunch of different things that I'm like, ah, that's quite cool. And I do go back to this. So I would encourage each of you to, if you're not already, to consider doing something similar, whether it's a Google Sheet or a note-taking form, a document, however you take notes and store stuff. I think it's incredibly useful to have. The final thing that I want to touch on is about prompting, and the AIs have got very good at getting to refine the prompt and sort of make assertions as to what you mean. You can also go one step better. So we've handled that slightly with Professor Synapse. You can do it in a couple of other ways as well. And this is like a way of working almost without fail. When I start instructing into any of the language models, I will usually either go to GenSpark or ChatGPT and say, create me a prompt. Okay, let's do it now. This is useful for slightly more complex tasks, research and so forth, and then you can configure getting the model to use deep research or deep thinking, or you can just kind of configure it off the bat. Here we go. Come on, Whisperflow. I want you to come up with a prompt to help me follow up with each of the founders of Simon Squibb's HelpBnk Accelerator to get their feedback and insight on the AI workshop, as well as to understand how they use AI. Create the prompt now. So I always start with a meta prompt, if you will. Get the AI to come up with a prompt, and I would probably either do that and copy that text across the other language models. So we go, Professor Synapse. synapse. Tone of voice, don't want this to read warm, so it's coming back with some questions. How do I want it to be? Yeah. Doing jobs for outreach emails, one-on-one calls. So then I could just then go through and answer its questions, and then it will come up with something. And that will be a way more refined prompt that I would get, that I will then take that prompt and feed that back into all of the language models. And then once I've got the outputs from all of, the 4 that I use, I'll be like, which one looks good? I mean, honestly, for this, I probably wouldn't bother using AI for this task, because I've spoken to and met with 4 of you. So I've just do like actual me using my own words, but I'm showing you how I operate with tasks that I have, and I encourage you to do the same. It's a way to get way more refined outputs from using AI. So I hope that has been useful and interesting. And I'm going to stop sharing now. So we are at the top of the hour. If people need to shoot, by all means. If people have questions, I'm here now, and also I'm available. You can reach me on LinkedIn or email, and we can set up time to speak. Does anyone have any questions now?
I do have something that it's not to do necessarily with most of what you were talking about, but it's something that's jarred with me. The face and copying the voices, that side of things. What protections are in there? Because I have a friend who's a singer. She's relatively well known in her field, and she had fans messaging her saying, "Oh, I love your new album." She hasn't released a new album.
Wow.
And it's her voice, it sounds like her words, it sounds like her song titles. What's stopping you using people's faces? If I'm putting videos out with my voice, what's stopping people from capturing that? And
so second
my
hand.
artwork, yeah, because it's already happening, and it's like, so do you know what's happening? Because this is a big thing that I think I wanted to kind of mention, because not everybody knows about this. Yeah, I know, because it's happening to my artist friends. So
yep.
I think you're the right person to kind of go, yeah, so what's happening with this? What's going on?
Yep. So, I mean, operating ethically should be the default way of operating. It is not for all companies. Some that are very established operators in the space. What can be done and what is being done about this, where people are not operating with integrity? The 2 that I have seen, one is a company called Midjourney, which is a Gen AI image creator. They have a lawsuit being brought against them by Disney and Pixar. I don't know the quantum of that lawsuit, like how much that is actually worth, but another is it's against Anthropic Claude by authors, and it is a class action lawsuit. Anthropic are paying out $1.5 billion for using authors' literature, using other people's IP to train their models. You raise a really interesting point, and
because basically, as an artist, what the AI is doing, they are taking artists' work without their permission and refiltering it, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at these pretty things." It's like, it's stealing.
That's somebody's work. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we create images of people with historic characters, it's a slightly different thing depending on how far in the past those people have deceased. We don't create people, we don't clone people who are alive without their consent. There are people with very distinctive voices and have their whole careers are based on either their voice or their image, and what is within those people's power is to speak directly to these platforms And I know that, having spoken to the heads of product at some of the voice cloning technologies, who have had prominent British figures who have distinctive voices and have had their voice cloned thousands of times. And what they are doing is taking those voices off their platform. It's not an exact science, and I think, well, we are entering an important and interesting area of IP, like period of time where it needs addressing. I don't have all the answers, but these are some of the things that.
Yeah, no, it's good to know. I knew about the lawsuit with Midjourney, but it's good to know there are some other things. Yeah, I think it's just something to be mindful of, because I talked to some people and they're like, "What?" They had no idea. So I thought it's probably a good time to mention it to everybody who is here as well, because it is worry.
Well, we're actually doing quite a unique way of like awareness created for this, because we've been like separately, because we have like a policy side of the super team. We've been doing a report all about the risks of AI and talking about how blockchain can like help mitigate the risks. And one of the key ones is this like content authenticity. And we're going to do like this little fun experiment where we get like this big van with a screen on it, and we drive around the Labour Party conference. So that's the main annual conference that's happening in Liverpool at the end of the month, and kind of like create these AI generated videos of Keir Starmer talking about little fun jokes that only like British people will get, but like positioning it like, oh, this is now Freddo's a 10p, and it's back again, and it's like, your Greg's sausage roll is one of your 5 a day, and it's now illegal to break into queues, and like different things like that, and then push that around and then like showcase the report, and like this type of thing affects the creators quite effectively, as you're talking about. So we're going to do that on the 29th of September actually in Liverpool. So everyone's welcome to come and join us there. It will be quite a fun way that will kind of showcase to the policymakers, and we've got a few different MPs coming to the event as well, and so it kind of then creates this pressure of like,
that's good.
There's problems that can be solved. Let's spend time solving them.
I mean, it's an amazing tool, and it's still magic. I'm like blown away by the amount that AI can help with things. But again, it's the ethics, isn't it? So it's concerning. But...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's on so many levels. I mean, for the creators, the IP, the sort of fake news, misinformation, like ethics and guardrails around children accessing this kind of stuff. I am very close to a lot of this with having 2 young children. I've spent the last year and a half becoming an increasingly active campaigner in a social movement called the Smartphone Free Childhood Movement. It's a slight misnomer. It's more looking at the possible impacts of very early access to social media and smartphones for young children. Be interesting to get your take on this, Jacob.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that. I've got 2 children as well, so it's kind of a big point for me too.
And there is a lawsuit, I mean, a tragic case against a chatbot company, tragic for the not the chatbot company, but a young boy developed a relationship with an AI, a chat AI, and ultimately took his own life, sadly, because of sufficient guardrails not being in place on the AI responses. And I'm very mindful of that. I encourage my children to understand AI and to interact with it, and to know really clearly what it is and what it is not. But this is very important, and it won't go away. So education is a key piece of this. I appreciate this is a slight tangent to the core of the core of this webinar and workshop.
Yeah, sorry. It's just it was in my mind when you were talking about everything before. I was just like, it's just in my mind, just going, oh gosh, like I'd had no idea it was that well made now. So
yeah, it's yeah, incredibly well made. Does anyone else have any questions on stuff that we've covered or anything in this realm?
I have, but probably I'll pick it all up with you later. I can sit here and talk about listen to this all day. I love it. It's amazing, and I really appreciate your time that you've given me as well outside of this. I'm sure we're going to catch up. Rich has done something quite magical for me, and has been helping me with not the mapping side of the website, but actually externally, made me think a little bit differently how to present what we're doing, which is brilliant. But we'll pick that up, and we'll have a conversation about the AI and how it's affected people. What you were just talking about, I've got lots of cases like that with my own personal work that I do elsewhere. I'll let you know about other things that have happened that you could help out in different areas where people have been scammed, young kids as well. Okay, I have to go. I've got a meeting with the BBC. Sounds great, right, but it's only a telephone call. So good luck. But while you're in here, I've got the BBC and ITV this weekend as well coming up. I've had them this week, but it's just been
that's amazing.
It's been a roller coaster. Yeah, I know they're coming back. So it's let's see. I've told them all about you already, so don't worry about it. You're all inside the conversation, which is amazing. But I'll share as soon as I know when they're putting stuff out. But I've got to go. Love you all.
Great stuff.
Go for it.
Good luck, Chris.
Chris.
Bye. Bye.
I was, if there are no other questions, I was going to, and I had kind of line people up to invite you to share how you use AI, because Holly, I know you are like, it's your bread and butter. You're just like blah blah blah, build my logo, build my website, blah 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 blah. So wondered if obviously Cap, it's your call. People are free to come and go as they want, but if people do want to stay, and if Holly, it's up to you. And George also, if he's still on the call, asked him to do similarly as well.
100%. Holly, do you want to take the mic?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, I use ChatGPT quite a lot. So it is probably one of the main people I speak to, especially with like fleshing out business stuff. So a lot of my content ideas come from ChatGPT, and like a lot of everything I do is sort of prompt to help me think and do things. So I know when I spoke to Rich, I shared that it briefly made my logo. So my logo that you've seen is actually been technically made by ChatGPT. Obviously, I had the idea, and obviously I said this is what I want, and then I did kind of make it on Canva, and then I said, can you make this better, basically, and in my sort of fonts and the colors that I wanted. So yeah, I think AI is really amazing, obviously, if it's used in the right way, and it can be really helpful to start with things. I mean, see, it's kind of, for me, stems back from like my corporate job in communications and public relations, because obviously it helps you sort of start with that draft of, and a lot of what I would do is writing, and it kind of helps you give that first initial draft that you can then sort of edit and put it into the branding, voice and everything like that, tone of voice and everything. So I think for business it's really like beneficial to use, because it means that it can give you ideas. I mean, ChatGPT does kind of go along with what you say, so you'll be like, I know I was trying to flesh out a to-do list, and then I know something was missed, and I was like, oh, this has been missed off, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, I say he like it's a person. It's like, yeah, you know, oh yeah, thank you for catching that. So sometimes it's not completely accurate, but I find it really, really helpful for like just initial things like research, or even like summarizing, you know, documents or links and things that people have sent you, and you think, well, like that's a lot of information, and that's definitely not going into my brain. So I find it really helpful for that. And sometimes I get it to read it to me, because I quite like reading at the same time as listening. And it's really strange. Like if anybody else has done that with ChatGPT, it kind of puts like breathing into it, so it's like a human reading it. So I don't know if anyone else. Yeah, it's really. I find it really weird, and like sometimes it will like glitch, and it will be a bit weird, but but yeah, it's very interesting. And I don't think I'd be here. That sounds weird, but if I like on this accelerator, if I didn't have ChatGPT to help me along the way with in my journey, especially of it being such an early idea. Yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on it. I find it really, really helpful. So, and I know I shared with you, Rich, that I think if you need images made, Gemini is really, really good. But I think Johnny on our other workshop said that, and that's where I got that from. And yeah, it's really good if you need like sort of images made. Like I get like cartoony things made, obviously, because that's kind of my branding. But yeah.
Ace, thanks for sharing. And yeah, awesome that you kind of used it to get onto the accelerator. Great. George, are you still on the call? I couldn't see.
I am indeed. I just have it minimised in the corner. They were being a bit funny about me being on the call, but yes, I am still here. Thank you. But yeah, no, for me, I use AI all of the time. It's sort of like my go-to. It's kind of like my therapist. I use it for like brainstorming with my business, help polishing up like emails, content ideas. Pretty much use it for everything, really.
And is it ChatGPT exclusively, or do you use other platforms?
I primarily use ChatGPT just because I built like my entire database with it. And it's got all of my knowledge and stuff. But I suppose always if I wanted to switch over to another language model like Claude, I could just go, give me everything you've learned about me in like a one-page document, which I could just feed into another AI model so they can be brought up to speed.
Yeah. Ace. Jacob, I'm curious as to what you do. How do you use AI? You're the, sort of different generation.
So for me, I actually use an incredible amount. So like Holly does, like I've had my logo designed by ChatGPT. I got like a base idea of it on a piece of paper, and then I started making it. So literally the one that's everywhere on Instagram and everything like that, that's the exact one pasted from ChatGPT. So I use it a lot for that kind of stuff. Also brainstorming and stuff like that, and even for like pitching and everything. Like for my HelpBnk pitch, where I got onto HelpBank's website and was like reviewed by Daniel Priestley, I had a lot of help from ChatGPT on like what could I do to be best and everything like that, and how could I actually make it on. So even for my website and everything, that I'm still designing and everything, not knowing exactly what I'm doing. I tried a little bit of Claude AI and everything to give me like a base design and everything. But I mean, one thing I've really learned from this whole workshop is you need to try more than one website, because I've been struggling a lot with a few things, but I reckon a lot of different AIs that you've spoken about could easily help in a lot of ways. So that's what I use AI for. Basically, a lot of the things I already do, and even mechanisms that I'm trying to like figure out what on earth's going on with them, which I'm doing all rightly, but even mechanisms and everything, I've asked ChatGPT, what should I do with this and that? So a lot of my business has been made out of ChatGPT.
Wow, that's super interesting. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Adiana?
Sorry, unmute me. Adiana, Adi, it's fine. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of use it more instead of Google now. I hadn't. I was very like, I'm not using AI for a really long time, because I was just seeing all the art side of it, which as an artist, it's really heartbreaking. And it literally took my job overnight as well. So, because I was doing digital artwork, and then all of a sudden people could create something. So I was like, no, I'm not doing this, but I am using it now, and I'm learning how much as a tool, like Holly is saying, just for, and the others like inspiration for, and I haven't used it as much. I'm looking back and go, oh yeah, I could have saved a lot of time and used it, and I'm starting to use it more for ideas and fine-tuning summaries and stuff. So I think I'm trying to find a good balance between using AI for inspiration and for research, and as just saying as well, like if I don't know how to do something on a website, I'll be like, how do I do this? Teach me how to do it step by step. But then I also want to make sure that it's not dumbing us down and still using my voice as well. So it's trying to find the balance.
Yeah. I kind of, all of those points really resonate with me, that, not dumbing us down, actually still like do our own thinking and not lose the kind of cognitive capacity to reason and what have you.
Yeah. It's a tool. It's an amazing tool, and I think that's the thing. It's just making sure you remember it is a tool. It doesn't get it right all the time, like you were saying, and just utilize it in combination.
A friend of mine, he writes children's stories and has illustrated them. And he has taken illustrations and then used that he's created, and then has used which one I forget, VO3 maybe, no, Midjourney I think, to animate, and created a short. I'll share it. It is absolutely charming.
Oh, that is interesting. That is actually really interesting. I didn't think about, because I'm using my own work, but then just to, again, as a tool, that would be very interesting.
He's narrated over it,
yeah,
but taken the images and cut together lots of short snippets to create. It's about a 6.5 minute. I'll share with you on Facebook, because it's really worth a look at, and I think relevant to where you're playing. Cool. Luke.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so for like my development side of building out the streaming platform, like big thing that it helped me recently is figuring out how to do authenticated streaming exactly how Spotify does. It's kind of like really high level thing that I wouldn't know unless I did a deep dive. Would take a long time to learn and figure out, but it kind of said in case you use HLS streaming, which I didn't hear about before, but it breaks up the songs into chunks, and each chunk's like 4 seconds long. And this allows people with like slower internet connections to stream it. And also, if you were to sign in on another tab, just like Spotify, your current play pauses. If you try to if you can't stream 2 songs at once, basically. So it kind of helped me figure out how to do that within like 30 minutes. And that sped up the process of, figuring that out. So things like that, when it comes to kind of higher level stuff, it just kind of speeds up the process. Even if it's like a complex question I ask, it says, this is what another platform, this is how they do it, this is the best practice. So it helps me find the best practices to build out for scaling and all sorts of stuff around that. But yeah, I use it for any type of coding question I have. That's kind of like, okay, now I need a little bit of research. It's kind of like if I had another, like highly educated developer, just like shoot off questions to, just point me in the right direction. And it helps debugs code sometimes.
Are you using Claude Code mostly, or GPT-5?
So I was using Claude. I use Cursor, or I just for starting, sometimes I just use ChatGPT because I have some chats with like a lot of context. I have like a project on there. It's kind of probably like 50 chats throughout the whole time of building, but I usually jump into Claude with my repos themselves. I jump into Cursor with Claude with my repos themselves, but since ChatGPT 5 came out, I started experimenting with that. So I've been using ChatGPT 5. I am curious to check out the other ones you suggested as well, but ChatGPT 5 has been pretty good. It takes a little longer to get the output, but it has way more thinking steps, and it kind of makes checklists. And yeah, I don't mind waiting like 3 minutes for it to complete something if it's pretty structured.
That's cool. are you using any of the code builders to vibe code stuff as well as to kind of, well, I suppose this is partial vibe coding, right?
Yeah, because like when I first created the whole stack, I pretty much did it by hand because when I was in university, it was before the wave of AI. So I've learned to build websites and backend infrastructure, managing Linux servers, everything just by hand. But because a few years ago, AI, I tried to use it with coding, it was very bad. So I kind of just brushed it off and I only used AI for other things. But now it's really a tool that's needed at the highest level of developing. Or kind of missing out if you don't use it. Even if you've worked for 20 years, it's just that exponentially that much more it'll speed up your workflow. Especially if you already know how everything pieces together, you can prompt it in the correct way rather than going at it blind. That's the most important thing, is knowing when you prompt how things actually work, as if AI didn't exist. Because if you have no idea like how to actually build it, then it might lead you in the wrong direction, or you just might not have an understanding of what it's actually doing. So it's good to kind of meet in the middle in that way.
Yeah, I very much concur with that. I doing some basic help with the kind of map code block with Chris's website. I went down a couple of rabbit holes. I'm not a coder, I'm a marketer at core, growth, kind of technical growth stuff. And I went down a few rabbit holes with getting some custom map products built. And then I was just like, this is not working. Why don't we just go to Google Maps?
Like mapping with like Mapbox type stuff, where you build mapping tools. Yeah. So I did a Mapbox project back in the day, and that was very confusing. So I'm curious how AI would actually work with mapping products now, if has better context. But I do remember that being pretty confusing. So some topics AI might not be the best with, but as time progresses, I'm sure it'll get better and better.
Yeah, exactly. I know Ashton's your business partner, right?
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi, Ashton. Well, thanks.
Actually, I had a quick question for you. We were talking to somebody earlier, Michael Harding, you know him, yeah, and he was kind of telling us about the future of AI loans and loan models. And we're creating a platform for musicians to get funded outside of distribution and label deals. And he was kind of telling us, we could add in as some kind of like AI loan model to help musicians get funded initially instead of a traditional label advance, while retaining like the majority of their IP and masters and whatnot. So I am kind of curious, have any good companies or protocols that do stuff along that route? Because it would kind of be the last puzzle piece if we could provide some kind of advance. Because right now, we're pretty much just offering the ability for musicians to make new revenue from trading and speculation on their streams. But if we could give them like some kind of advance up front, that would really kind of close off the last bastion of what labels can offer for the most part, outside of marketing and whatnot. But on the financial side, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Let me scratch my head and have a think. I mean, it's sort of a precursor to revenue-based lending, right? Because they're non-revenue generating, presumably.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we could somehow tie it into because I don't know how much you know about our platform, but if we were doing a nutshell, it's like Pump Fund for music, right? So like it's bonding curves, you can tokenize for free, and then every stream adds liquidity back into the token from fees. So if we could allow artists to get some kind of loan from their token, I don't know how possible that would be, or maybe they would need to have some amount of fees have already been generated, but maybe we something there where if they like accrue enough fees, they could get some kind of AI loan. So like if you get like, let's say $1,000 in trading fees in a month, you could get a loan of some kind based off of your trading volume against your token. That would be very cool. I haven't done enough research. I was literally just told about this AI loan thing like the other day, but I think it's very interesting.
That is really interesting. Let me ask a few people in the fintech space, people I know who who would have a better idea of this. But yeah, really interesting.
Oh, see, I see Cat put Camino in there. Yeah, we looked into them, but I didn't think they had like an AI loan model Cap. Let me look into. Can borrow. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Cool. That awesome project. Yeah. You know, actually
But
give the revenue based on streaming to
I was
the
wondering,
to
Rich, have you seen, like, what do you think about AI artists? Have you heard news about that? Or because I've seen, like, a few months ago, there were some tokens on Solana that were AI artists, and they were very successful. That was probably about 6-7 months ago, but I've seen some talks about that, but I'm wondering if you've heard about, agentic artists.
not I have not had my head in that space. It's, I mean, as to Addy's point, it's fascinating. It's a tricky line to tread, like agentic artists, like the ethics and like what the models, what base data are they being trained on, what inputs. Where I live, which is a small market town in the countryside, it's 40,000 people. There is a physical shop that sells only AI generated art. I mean, it's clearly like in breach of every trademark under the sun, but as a data point, it's interesting that exists. I mean, they're not doing anything on on blockchain. There's no coin offerings in the mix, but
Yeah, that's
like
definitely like
that's
that's a big issue.
Oh, I think dropped.
Yeah, that's a kind of new angle we've been going towards too with our deck. Is like we will be the market for these emerging AI artists, like the last kind of the new way for artists to get funded outside of the old label deal, kind of like we're going to be the future for that. The like fast-paced artists, the new wave of internet creatives that will be coming out with like AI and whatnot. But this whole thing kind of just sparked a new idea in my head. Like we could get the fees from trading and we could use them to like borrow and lend in some way, and then we could allow artists to get that advance. I don't know exactly how it'll work. I'm literally just all thinking about this out loud now. But
Yeah, I know of another company in a similar space doing not the same thing, but there's a kind of a business model on top of the business model, essentially a trading piece, which is kind of what you guys are doing.
yeah, no, it's because
Based.
I did a market before, and I was like distributing music, right? And we're like over 100 different artists, and I saw that trading made at least 10 times more than royalties did on Spotify every time, even with the smallest artists. So why can't you we use trading fees and volume to pay out to the artists instead of a Spotify royalty? So that's why we decided to make our own streaming platform with a trading side attached to it, where streams and trades are synchronous. They go off one another. Streams like release liquidity, traders trade on top. Yeah, it's kind of it's from my own experience that I've seen this like created it, it's very excited to get it out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My internet just cut for a
I've also
second.
sent you connect on LinkedIn as well.
Did you connect?
Yes, Ashton Levy Park on LinkedIn.
Yeah, cool.
We should connect after the call as well. If you have the time, if you can help reach the people who are in the space, me and Luke would really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wherever I can help, I'd be happy to. I'll ping my LinkedIn for anyone who's. Oh God. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
That's in the chat already. Cool.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Yeah,
me.
but I just wanted to finish on my point because I wanted to ask you, because most AI platforms like GPT, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., they don't really care about the integrity of the data trained. And I really think ideally you have a system where, for example, artists, musicians, or physical like painters, digital artists, the data they use in their AI model is enclosed to their own released content. So you can give them a collection of 100 of your own paintings, and anything you generate based off a new target output is based off your intellectual property. Ideally, I think that's a system we should move towards rather than just the cash grab that we see, and that's the problems that's been talked about in the call. Do you know any platforms, companies that are trying to actually do that, solve the
I
intellectual property problem of the training data, where it's
no.
enclosed to only your property or property that maybe other people sign off on that you can use? Because that's pretty much all I've been hearing about, and I think that's a solution.
I don't, but I agree. And I think that is so what has come off the back of the class action lawsuit against Anthropic from authors is reflective of that. So the payout has been, it's on a kind of per author average basis of like a few grand. I'm sure there's quite a standard deviation depending on the volume of work per author or whatever, or maybe the prominence per author. I don't know how, or I actually don't know. I'm speculating, but I think, yeah, I would be surprised if people are not working on that. And I think it's a really interesting piece, and kind of like that's what should have been happening in the first place. But it's the language model companies. It has been a data land grab to train language models. So it's just that it's been people without care. But yeah, I'm fascinated by that space. I have friends who are artists, and I mean, it's a number of things. I have friends who are artists. They don't like the fact they make nothing off Spotify. From one part, I also own databases that are proprietary databases, and I want to work with language models to get them to do interesting things with that data. But I don't want to kind of hand over my data to these models for them to be trained on it, because that's my IP.
Ideally, that's where blockchain would come in, to have a hash of what data was actually used in the generation at each time, and the link to the creator of the data that was used for every piece generated, whether it's just text output or art itself. So we could have a link to the source. Then you could even monetize it.
That, I mean, that sounds partially like what you guys are building, right?
Yeah, it's still, I mean, it's more, it's still up to the artists to upload what they want, so there's gonna have to be content mitigation, but I just see in the future of AI, all those problems can be solved. It's just a matter of, I don't know, the companies need to get in check rather than the users, because the user's just using their data,
Yeah. I think I don't know quite how prominent it will be. I think it might be, to draw a parallel to the browser wars, the difference between a Chrome and a DuckDuckGo, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Conscious of time, I'm going to go and have to be dad pretty much now. Lovely to connect with you, meet you guys. Thank you to Cap, you and the team at Super Team and HelpBnk for the opportunity to come and talk to you guys.
I appreciate you taking the time out and this extra time here now as well, to be able to answer all the key questions. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay in touch and good luck with your ventures.
Awesome. All right, catch you guys soon.